Hello YouTube, this is Insane Monster, and we are here for part 5 of What If Asta was the son of SCP-073, aka Abel. Now then, as this is the second main lineup What If that I'm doing, the next What If shall be the one picked by the winner of the What If Lotto. As to what that What If is, I'll leave that for later because it's a bit of a special one that will take some time to record, especially since I got some stuff going on that needs my attention. I'll be recording in my free time, so do hope you enjoy. With all that being said, please enjoy this video and hit it. Now then, if you remember, the last part was the part where the Eye of the Midnight Sun attacked the capital, taking the stone that was around Phlegonion's neck. So, we get to the part where Finral is looking around, thinking, trying to figure out what he should do about the mixture he's been putting together, thinking about who he should bring with him. After the usual stuff, he ends up deciding bringing Luck and Asta. Noel was thinking and thought, so they're going to a mixture. In this what if, Noel doesn't have the same infatuation where at the same time the same tsundere thing towards Asta as in canon, so there's that. So she does end up talking to Mimosa over that little hologram magic item that allows them to talk to one another from distant places. Kind of like a magic video chat thing. As he tells Mimosa about this mixture that Finral put together and is dragging Asta and Luck on. As we see her smile, Noel just thinks that it's normal, while in the place where the Golden Dawn are, we see that her plants around her are, she's growing some thorny vines around her, outside the view of Noel. As Mimosa states that she has something to do, and hangs up, ending up asking one of her squad members to use spatial magic to go to where the mixture is. Ending up in Noel's place, unlike in canon, instead of Noel being the waitress, it's Mimosa. She's doing a better job as a waitress than Noel did, not being really aggressive, but this time when the haha guy, Seke, is being snobby, she just uses her plant magic to tie him up and gag him, which the girls then do give her a thumbs up. As we get to the part where, of the mixture. Things go pretty similar, though Asta asks if they could remove the plant in the center. He's near the edge, trying to stay away, but the girls ask why that is. He's nervous about answering, considering what normally happens when this Asta gets near plants. If you don't remember from the previous part, after receiving the power that he typically gets, like after the power he inherited from his dad, there was a drastic change in his effect from towards plants than his father. Instead of killing them, he more or less causes them to grow rapidly and out of control. As Finro states that that's actually a good idea, when the girls got a little curious and got the centerpiece plant near him until it started to grow rapidly, where Luck was able to grab it and get it away, so it wouldn't ensnare the girl. Finro was polite to them, apologizing and telling them that when Asta is near any plant, they start to grow rapidly, as well as grow to abnormal sizes, and will continue to grow. As Luck mentions that their squad member Charmy's garden, where she grows a lot of vegetables and such, has been making some gigantic vegetables, including a tomato the size of a person. So yeah, that kind of threw them for a loop. As the restaurant then decides to put away the plant centerpieces after seeing that, not wanting another incident, and they begin to eat. They explain that the plants that aren't rooted or have something to help them grow and such like that, like being planted, are just fine for him to eat, though they do tend to taste better in his presence. Which they did notice that the food in the restaurant they were eating, or at least the vegetables and such, actually for some reason tasted better than usual. With the normal talk and such, Finro went away with the girl he was sitting across, as well as Luck, leaving Asta and Rachel, I believe her name is, as they end up talking as in canon about their families. As Rebecca then asks the obvious question that her and the other girls were refraining from, as he asked, "Okay, so what exactly are those markings all over your body? I mean, all those blue and silver ones?" Asta looked at his hand and states, "Well, hard to explain, but these are just something I've had since as long as I can remember. I grew up in an orphanage, but I've known some things about my parents. Not much about my mom, but some things about my dad. Apparently, he did something to try to save my life. And when that happened, I got these markings, as well as a lot of the things that, well, for instance, the thing with the plants. I guess that came along with the territory of what he did to save my life. I never actually met him, or my mom. I got no clue. Last thing I remember is that, well, the only last thing I've ever known about them is that my dad just died saving me, and my mom put me somewhere safe at the church I was raised in. Though I did end up helping my village with their pot potato farming. After all, you saw what happened with the centerpiece plants that they use here. Imagine what would happen if I just stood in a pot potato farm for for an hour or two. I actually almost drowned in pot potatoes one time. which Rebecca started laughing at that. But then, of course, the drunk guy came, starting harassing Rebecca. As Asta did get his attention, telling him to stop, he remarks that he can't sense any magic from this kid, as he really doesn't pose a threat. With Asta smirking, thinking, oh, well, even without magic, you're not really a threat to me, or perhaps even anyone. This did piss off the drunk, as he punched Asta as hard as he could, dead on in the face. Though, as you may remember about his SCP father, this did cause the damage to be reflected back onto the guy who punched him, though Asta still felt the pain from it. That's the trade-off. Damage is reflected, but Asta still feels the pain. So, if a person could induce enough pain while rapidly healing himself with magic, it is possible to cause Asta to pass out through sheer pain. So yeah, that is a bit of a trade-off. As the drunkard fell down, being knocked out from the damage being reflected back onto him, people were seeing this. They saw that Asta didn't do anything. He just got punched and then the drunk guy fell down. So the manager came over yelling, asking what just happened, which Rebecca and Asta decided to bail. So yeah, as they did get to the alley with Mimosa bolting out of there following them, Rebecca asked something. What was that? You didn't do anything, but he still got hurt. Asta scratched his face, trying to think of how to explain it, as he states, well, that's another one of the things I apparently inherited from my dad. At least that's what the book that was left to me said. Apparently, whenever when someone does something to injure me, the damage I would take from it is reflected back on the person who initiated uh, the whole thing that would cause the damage to begin with. But I still feel the pain from it. But they receive the damage, as he states. So, wait, so you still feel the pain of being punched in the face, but instead, the damage that would happen is reflected on that drunk guy? He smirked, saying, yeah, pretty much. Even though I was hit by a sword, it wouldn't really break my skin. It would actually just cut the person who tried to cut me instead. Mimosa, overhearing this, isn't really surprised, considering she saw it firsthand with Mars when he attacked Asta in the dungeon, though hearing the details of it is pretty interesting. As Rebecca then states, do you have anybody you like? He thinks and states, no, not that I could think of. I've really never thought about it before. So, yeah, he thinks about it, but doesn't really have a clear answer to her, as he kind of blushes and smirks a little bit. Of course, he still gets invited to meet her siblings and such, as they then both go home, with Asta going back to the Black Bull's hideout. Once he gets over into his room, the SCPs that were sent over to watch over him welcome him back. Now then, if you remember, these are SCPs that were brought over by Bluto, the dimension hopping SCP that was that brought Asta's dad to this world. but became Apotheos, becoming stronger and in more control of his power. With the SCP that was Apotheos, who is the SCP known as 774-JP in the Jasper form, which is the form it took when it was called by its SCP number, stating, "So, how was your little outing?" Also smirked, stating, "It was pretty good, I guess. I met someone very nice." With Byakko just kind of staring, not really caring about it, but states, "Oh, that's good, I suppose." And the tiny Terminator, who was the Goose Terminator, who is now a modified SCP thanks to the combination of effects from two special SCPs to make it self-sustaining in both power and maintenance, as well as reprogramming it so it doesn't go off killing gooses on instinct and can be properly interacted with, stating, well, I suppose it doesn't really hurt for you to socialize. From what I know about your father, from what I've been told and what's in my database, he was somewhat of a solitary person, so not quite sure how to. Though I suppose it is for the best that you are able to socialize with others properly, as he does end up going and meeting with Rebecca and her siblings, as well as Marie, uh, Ghost's sister, with Noel telling Mimosa about where he went due to the fact that she called her, Mimosa called Noel, okay, and found out, asking a spatial mage in the Golden Dawn yet again to send her somewheres. As he sees what's going on. And Asta is having fun, though this time the SCPs end up going along with him, with Nols, the tiny Terminator. I will basically list their current names and such that have changed after being either apotheosed or being modified due to how they are and under certain circumstances. So yeah. So they are having fun with the two cats as they're begrudgingly holding themselves back from doing anything since they were asked by Asta not to harm them. So yeah. As for Rebecca, she's enjoying seeing her siblings having so much fun, though Ghost is not happy that Asta is playing around with his sister. Kicking him, he then is feeling the same kick in his back, just growling, stating, "Ugh, that ability of yours is really annoying." With Marie asking what happened, Asta tells her that he's able to reflect damage he takes onto the person who caused it, and he can't stop it no matter what. Stating that since her brother kicked him, he ends up receiving the damage from the kick. With her thinking, "Oh no," though Ghost is still yelling and such, as he states that he's gonna marry Asta, just frickin' turning Ghost into stone. with the sister introducing herself properly, yelling at ghosts and such, and finding out, well, about Asta, who was raised by sister Lily partially, that she heard about him being quite strange. And with Asta learning that she taught Flagoleon, telling her if she knew about what happened to him in the capital, but she knew. So yeah, as they go into the restaurant and some similar stuff happens, though instead of the water going crazy, with Mimosa there, some plants go a little haywire on the outside of the wall, since I don't think there'd be plants growing from the floor of the inside of a restaurant that Rebecca is cooking and running from, with Nero eating up some of the food that the kids give her. And with Rebecca's siblings egging her on to ask Asta out and all that, she just gets embarrassed. Afterwards, we get to the part where we see Asta sleeping and Mimosa is just standing in the cold, using her plant magic to surround her to try to keep warm. And Ghost tries to attack Asta, though he's warned by the SCP sleeping near him as he hops out of the building, yelling at him to stop, and that if he tries to kill him with those things, he's just gonna kill himself instead. With Ghost stating, as long as I can take you with me, I'm fine with that. With him thinking, he does realize that it doesn't work like that, right? As they look around, whenever some people are yelling, as well as the SCPs that get in between them, and see that it's snowing. And it's not even the season for this, as well as hearing that not only two of Rebecca's siblings are gone, but a bunch of other kids are also gone. So yeah, as Ghost hops on a broom, hurrying up to go save Marie, telling them that he could track her down using the mirror that he gave her. As the sister just sighs, remarking that they should probably hurry, telling Asta to get on her broom, stating that she knows he doesn't have magic and won't be able to fly. Though Asta smirks, stating, "No, it's fine. I have my own way to move around." As the tiny Byakko, who was previous called the tiger kitten, who is now called the Byakko Kitten, even taking the name Byakko due to the Apotheos event that happened to it, is now increasing in the size as one of its new abilities for Asta to ride on top, as well as the cat known as, well, who is SCP-074-JP, is now turning into Jasper, who was the form it took whenever it was called by its SCP number, telling the woman to get on. Smirking, she says, "Well, this is surprising," as they hurry up and go follow Ghost to get the kids, with the tiny Terminator uh, staying behind just in case, with Mimosa being told to hurry and call somebody for reinforcements, which she does do. And as they go, Ghost just ignores Rebecca's little sibling as Asta and the nun check on him. Asta comforts him and tells him to be brave as he gives him his black bull's robe, telling him to make sure to give it back once all of this is over. and the sister uses her flame magic healing candles to heal up all of his scratches and such. And they decide to hop back onto the couch and hurry up and get in there to find the kids. Ghost does still take care of the snow mage, as Austin the nun, as well as Byakko and Jasper, get there and see what's going on. With the mud mage using that little monocle thing to check Asta's magic, he laughs, stating that he doesn't have any magic. How pathetic. As Asta slams him with his demon slayer sword, sending him flying into the cave wall, yelling at him with the same speech as in canon about the kids having their magic taken and that it might not even be able to be given back or recover from it. So yeah, he is terrified and uses a little mudman to go send the emergency signal. As Asta does use his demon slayer sword to undo the spell that is on all of the kids, with the sister healing healing them and healing them and everything, trying to figure out what to do next. We then get interrupted by Sally. So yeah. And we have her attack as Asta and the sister try to fight back against her. Asta orders Byakko and Jasper to hurry up and get the kids out of here while they focus on fighting. Of course, Ghost hurries up, grabbing Marie, getting out of there, and ends up meeting with Rebecca's little brother, having the same talk as in canon with him. As Byakko and Jasper have the kids hop on their back to get them out to the entrance of the cave, unlike the sister using her magic for it. So yeah, she will have a good amount of magic for this, and is able to go after the Sally a lot better in this one, not having to burn up so much of her magic to save the kids. As Ghost decides to fly back in, with Jasper and Byakko telling him that they should hurry. With Ghost getting there, this is at the portion where we see the mud monster that Sally made out of the mud mage. But the snow mage freaking out about what Sally did to his brother, panicking. He's talked down by Asta, who tries to use his demon slayer and demon dweller sword to cut down this thing, but is smacked. Of course, the damage is reflected back at the monster, but this thing is made entirely out of mud. Even in canon, when it was sliced apart, there was no human body left in there. So it's making it a lot harder, even with the damage reflectability. With Sally saying, "Oh, interesting, interesting." Even though the damage is reflected onto the monster, it doesn't really matter considering it's entirely made out of mud. But it's so interesting. You don't receive any damage. Oh, I'd love to get you as a subject. I'd love to study you. As we just see a big grin on her face. As Ghost comes in and Asta berates him after his attacks don't work, and he states that he can still do it, Asta still gives him the speech about how he doesn't need to keep doing things alone. He's their squad members, and he can rely on him for when he needs help. Of course, this still goes as in canon, where he is multiplied and is able to take down the mud, mud mage monster. As the sister takes down Sally pretty well, finishing her ability to fight. As they just think about what to do now, this is when Licht and the spatial mage that's like severely devoted to him show up, blinding them with a bright light. Though in this one, Asta gets in front of the nun, thinking that she might need some protection from what's coming, which does help out. So the sister doesn't get hit like in canon, but Asta gets hit in his leg and shoulder, which is then reflected onto Licht. As Rose is hit in his leg, the sister asks if Asta is okay. He states, "Fine. It hurt, but I'm not injured." Licht going down on one knee, smirking, stating, "Ha, I suppose Sally's report was correct about you. We can't really harm you. You still feel the pain. You are quite interesting, but also quite a nuisance." As he starts talking about how the swords Asta has doesn't belong to him, that they don't belong to a filthy human and everything, which confuses Asta, since isn't this guy supposed to be human too? Though when the fight is about to start, Yami, Finral show up and are trying, as well as Noel, trying to see if they could help. With the sister going down on one knee, breathing heavily, that fighting Sally was a bit more of a chore, especially helping Asta trying to fight off the mud uh, mage monster while Ghost was not there. As he states, "I'm running a little bit low on magic." Breathing heavily, as Ghost remained here with in the battle with Noel and Finral going, help the nun, the sister, bringing as well as the kids, bringing them back to town. So, yeah, as well as Finral being told by Yami that he better come back or else, which he is not thrilled about. Going back into his portal with Noel and the sister, you go grab the kids and bring them back into town, which they do as they try to think about what to do next to try to help them. Noel still doesn't have much of combat but attacks and such, so she's worried that she's not going to be of any help here. Which is when she runs into Mimosa, and Noel asks what's she doing here, with Mimosa stating, "Well, I heard something was off in this area, so I thought I'd come over," as he nervously laughs. Noel buys this and such, because, why not? It's an anime. So, yeah, they got some very dense characters and such. Even those who are dense about their own feelings towards people. So, yeah. As Finral sighs, thinking that he's gonna have to go back later, though relaxes for a bit to try to regain his magic for another portal home. Back in the cave, we see Yami facing Licht, as well as telling Asta about how to use ki and such, as he practices using it, covering himself in the metal skin that he figured out how to do back in the dungeon arc. As he faces the Spatial Mage, with the metal not being able to break and protecting him, as well as the person attacking him, so he could train properly using the ki, and finds a way to use it in a way to where he jumps through the portal and full on smacks the Spatial Mage, knocking him out. Of course, this causes Lick to just freak and going and lashing out all over the place, with Asta, Ghost, and Yami being trapped under rubble, but soon break out, with Ghost yelling, "It was your doing that caused Marie to be dragged here, wasn't it? You're gonna pay for that! Hey, you're gonna pay for trying to bury me alive!" With Yami stating, "Hey, get in line!" As Ghost tries to use his magic, Yami smacks him on the head, stating, "Hey, I said get in line!" With us seeing that Licht is using his magic to charge up for a giant attack, Yami creates a darkness barrier, as he tells him that this might not hold up so well against that blast, with Asta getting in front of them, stating, "Look, just stay behind me. I can act like a shield to protect you, but it will cause the damage I take from this to reflect onto him. Plus, it's really gonna hurt me, so I might pass out. So, mind watching over me?" Yami's not thrilled about this, to have his new recruit do this kind of thing, as Ghost clenches his fist, stating, "Are you insane? That's completely crazy." Due to Ghost uh, being, well, not as hurt or spending his mana in this due to having better help from the sister, yeah, this goes pretty, he doesn't use up as much magic, and ends up reflecting Licht's attack back, which is when Byakko and Jasper come back. After helping the kids go through the portal where they went home, they went over to try to help Asta, though the constant rumbling from the cave surrounding them on the way back to the open area where they were caused them to be hesitant and move slower, so that they wouldn't be aware of any rubble about to fall on them, or if the whole thing was just gonna collapse on them. So they were trying to be more careful. As they see that it seems to be over, they go over to Asta, asking what happened. Asta gave him a somewhat quick rundown, as Luck looks at Ghost, telling him the same thing as in canon, which Yami is confused whether he knows him or not, but Ghost states he doesn't, which is when the third eye comes in, with Veto, Raya, and and the girl. Uh, oh man, I forgot her name for a little bit. Well, whatever. The fire spirit one, Sorry, there's a lot of characters and it's hard to remember all the Fauna. Yeah, Fauna comes in. Just remembered. But yeah, they drop in, starting to attack as well, with Fauna using her Phoenix healing magic in order to recover Licht. As the fight begins again, Ghost is very low on mana, as Asta and we, as well as Jasper, who shifts over to Fukuten, who is another form or another entity that the SCP-074-JP turns into, though this one, containing lightning powers for being apotheosed, as well as being able to have the same size increase ability, is now helping dealing with Vatos. With uh, the Byakko helping out with facing Raya and Fauna for Yami. So yeah, Yami doesn't get his sword snapped as Veto smacks Asta as he slams into the wall. We see Veto spitting up some blood, breathing heavily, with Licht stating, "Don't attack the boy with the blue and silver markings. If you damage him, the damage will just be reflected back onto you and he won't be injured at all, but he can still feel pain." With Veto smirking, he states, "Oh, so all I have to do is endure the pain better than him, and then he'll just pass out, right?" With a crazed smile on him, he says, "That sounds like it might be a little fun." With Raya stating, "That sounds like going overboard to me." So this is when the captains, Jack the Ripper, Charlotte, and Nozel come in to help out. With Yami a little exhausted and beat up after this, he decides to let them do their thing and goes on the sidelines. With Byakko and Fukuten being a little miffed about this, not being able to finish their fight with them, though Asta smirks, thinking that it should be fine. With Finro coming in, seeing all this after recovering his magic a bit more, Yami yells at him about what took him so long. Though everything from here goes on a bit similar to in canon, with Yami being teleported above Licht, who is just hovering over air being recovered by Fauna's healing magic. When he goes to attack, Asta swoops in and strikes at him, like in canon, surprising them all. Since she doesn't have any magic and has learned how to use ki, it was simple. With Jasper and, with Fukuten and Byakko seeing this, they're pretty impressed with what Asta did, wondering how he did it to begin with. So, yeah. Though I may state the names kind of confusing based off of SCP-074-JP due to the fact it turns into 3 separate personalities and such. So yeah, as like in canon, Licht's magic seal is undone and is about to blow up. So the third eye stops him as they sink back down, with Veto looking at Asta smirking, stating, "Boy, this isn't the end. I'll make sure that I win, despite that odd ability of yours. I will tear you apart." As they just stop there, Asta sits down, stating that this was kind of stressful. Going back into town, they are all given thanks for what they did to save all the people in town's kids. As, like in canon, we see Asta getting a peck on the cheek from Rebecca, thanking him for saving her sibling and such. So she's pretty happy, with Mimosa being low-key, scary, smiley. Yeah, yeah. That's the whole thing. The kind of anime girl trope where she's smiling, but everybody around her can tell that she's actually getting kind of scary, even without doing anything threatening. So yeah, as everything is okay and such, this is where we will be ending this part of the What If. Do hope you enjoyed. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And make sure to hit that notification bell. So, yeah, do hope you enjoyed. Sorry for any trip ups with some names and such. So, yeah. And see you later for the next vid.